All right, good morning. It is Wednesday, March 19th, FOMC Wednesday. Happy FOMC Wednesday to those that celebrate. We've got NQ trading against 19650 for the duration of yesterday's session. That is the midpoint of that near term range. You can see the near term range on the screen there. Price trades lower. Remember yesterday, if you're in the stream with us, we were looking at 19,900. 19,900 fails to hold as support. So we wanted to see yesterday where buyers going to be able to defend this area, prior area of resistance, potentially turning into support right off the open. We know that's not going to happen, right? No bid at 775. So we trade into the next level of interest, which is 650. Price pretty much builds out an afternoon base there, attempts to resolve higher, does not sustain above 775, right back into the range. Overnight session, we have more of the same. More of the same. So 650 by 775 from that prior day structure. And the context here is that it's in the middle of this near term range. And so what I'm going to be looking at for this morning and into FOMC pretty much is how price is going to be trading versus this structure from the prior day. And the thought process is that if sellers are still dominating this tape, they should be able to show a continuation move into near term range low. That is how ranges usually trade, right? You want to see price trading into the edge of the range. If it does not, that may be giving us a clue. If buyers are able to show they'll push up through 775 and with acceptance, you may be looking at 900, maybe 20K again. So today's action for me is contingent on how price responds to that late day structure from yesterday's session. We've got the open coming up here in about 5 seconds. Let's see what we're going to be working with here into the open. Overnight high is there at 797. Pre FOMC action, typically pretty slow. So lower expectations for today, at least for the morning until we get into FOMC. FOMC, usually you're going to have some pretty good volatility. NQ bumping into that overnight high. So overnight high 797 for NASDAQ, NQ. Poking up above that area. See if this is just a little look above or something more. New high of day for NASDAQ. I mean, really, this is pretty open here. If buyers can show acceptance above overnight high, it's pretty open up into 900. It's that next level of interest, which is the prior day high as well. So let's see. Let's see what we're going to be working with. As a reminder, FOMC, not really a good time to be trading through the actual rate announcement if you are a newer trader. Typically nothing good is going to come from that FOMC session. So just something to keep in mind there. NQ retesting the session high there. 815 current session high. A little churn here near that overnight high. We'll see how this continues to build. Let's check the other indices. Pretty much the same across the board. ES into that overnight high, YM up and through. Russell nowhere near the overnight high, at least not yet. Backdrop still bearish neutral. Keep in mind, context is important. So a little look above, and we're into session lows into 775. Into 19775 there. Got that big high volume node and session volume point of control right here at 770 as well. And then you got VWAP just beneath this area, 750. And Q coming into session low yet again. Tricky spot here between VWAP and the 775 level of interest. So VWAP holds there for now. NQ back into 775. A little more churn through here. VWAP 775. Main area we're watching. No rush this morning. FOMC. Personal preference would be for action up and through 775. Just based on that prior day structure. Let's look at the 5-minute RTH here. 5-minute RTH, one of my favorite charts. It's a very slight gap higher, still in the prior day's range. We're looking at pretty much this whole structure as outlined at the start of the stream. And Q getting back into session lows here. Buyers struggling to show that acceptance above 775. Early volume is not looking good. Not a good look there on volume. NQ new low of day. So next real level is going to be that 650. Prior day volume point of control there at 707 as a reference point. Then your overnight low 660 and level of interest 650. NQ, taking a look at prior day fib. Still your fib sell zone right there where we opened up. Right through here. Fib sell zone. Getting into that prior day volume point of control right now. And we have that opening 15-minute bar closing here in 30 seconds. Bearish to start the morning. Keeping with the recent theme. Grabbing the shorts, guys. Nicely done. Nicely done. Buyer stepping in versus that prior day volume point of control. Almost to the tick there. And we're back in a VWAP. Looks like you got some news there. NQ into 775. A little tape bomb. Tape la bomba. Any prior day volume point of control longs are very happy. Still cash personally. So we're back into that overnight high. Overnight high 797. See how this area is going to be treated once again. 775. Overnight high zone. Tape bomb or not. Price respects the technicals. Gotta love it. Every time. Every single time. No news on the wire, Mish? It was moving like news. Definitely looked like it, especially with the volume, but it could have just been shorts having their stops ran through up above 775. Give it a little sample right there versus 775. Looking for that 775 to hold. Locks them into overnight high. Lift that trail. And then trail just gets taken. First trade of the morning. Didn't love that one. Not my favorite. Not my favorite with the overnight high there, but for me, levels of interest take superiority over reference points, so had to give it a try. Had to give it a try there. That's why we trail tight. Trade management. You got YM bumping into the prior day high. You got Russell up through prior day high, overnight high. And ES making session highs as well. So everything's at the highs except for Mr. NASDAQ. In the meantime, we sip some espresso. Wait for that next A plus opportunity. 10 a.m. in 7 minutes. So far, we have the reject, that little overnight high look above, a failure at 775. Little bounce versus VWAP, probably some short covering, right? 775 rejects. Flush. Prior day volume point of control. Pretty straightforward. And buyers. Now we're consolidating. Not bad, not bad. Little blip above the overnight high again here. New high of day. NASDAQ. NASDAQ with the NHOD. Looks like my entry could have been held. But that's how it goes. That is how it goes. Many will cry over something like that, but I just let it go. No big deal. On to the next. On to the next. No crying in the casino, exactly. Dominoes. Yes, sir, Sam. Spot on right there. That's right. All right. So, like I had mentioned earlier, when price was initially pushing above that overnight high, our next upside level is 19,900. So, your level of interest plus prior day high. See if we get another entry at some point. All of this right here is no man's land for me. Yeah, prior day volume point of control is a pretty good reference point usually. As of right now, I'm still just with the one little scalp on the morning as we get into 10 a.m. Let's revisit that 5-minute RTH chart. So we're into that 78% fib from yesterday's session, 19,836. Ten a.m. in about 15 seconds here. No data. Not worried about any data right now. NASDAQ new high of day. New highs. Fresh highs being made. No re-entry granted. Just chilling. Chilling with my 20 points. How's everyone's morning? How we doing? Rich, small green, Mish, cash. Jacob got that 775 short. Nice. Definitely one of the better trades of the morning. If that prior day volume point of control was a level of interest, not the volume point of control, or if we were in a bullish backdrop, that definitely would have been one of the top opportunities. But given current context, I would not even take an entry there personally. NQ just on the steady push here as we get into 900. That's the main level that we're looking at. $19,900, also your prior day high. RTH. Chad Green. Nice, man. Steady push coming into 900. Like we mentioned at the start, up above that overnight high is pretty clear. Pretty clear up into 900. Unfortunately, I couldn't find an entry for the move. We tried it through here. Right through there. Overnight high. Takes them off, trail out. Next one gives you the push. This pullback is, I don't have anything there, so I can't enter. No reference point, no level, so you just let it go. Let that one go. Not even the shallow fib there, probably. Let's see. Yeah, it's not even the shallow fibbler. So that's not my trade. That is not it. Here's 900 though. If you're riding any longs, this is your main target. Start to bring that intraday fib back onto the screen. Your 50% is way down there at the overnight high. 61% down there at 775. Yeah, there is that gap over 900. So if we look at the RTH chart, you have this gap that was defended for the most part yesterday. Now there's this unfilled gap right through here. If we remember the context, 650 is the midpoint. Last week, volume point of control. Right. So was all this action accumulation from yesterday, or excuse me, from last week and yesterday as well? Is this a big higher low in the making? I know you love to be bearish after an entire month of selling, but it does look like NASDAQ tends to go up. It does kind of have that tendency if you zoom out a little. So I guess we'll find out. I guess we'll find out. Did TradingView just update? What is this? What is this? Get that out of here. Okay. So NQ true test at 900 right there. See if sellers reload here at 900. And then if so, what is the depth of our pullback going to be looking like? Pullback or reversal? TBD. My morning looks like this. One small scalp. It's the only A plus trade I've seen so far. FOMC, not the day to push your luck. So yeah, Mish, I think they just released that this morning. Change your chart time frame. It'll probably load in there. Yeah. After after hours highlight or electronic trading hours highlight. A little bit of a pullback here. Not even into the shallow fib yet. See if the bot's done anything. Bot has done nothing this morning. What's up, Timmy? We got a decent bounce here. As far as A plus setups, no, you did not miss too much. Didn't miss a whole lot as far as A plus. Couple of opportunities, both long and short, at the 775 level of interest. So you may want to review those. If you're into that, if you're into trade review, if you're into getting better at the craft, that's probably what I would do. But some people aren't into that. Some just want to punt the funded accounts full port. Just want to punt them right through FOMC. Oh man, these prop firms gotta love FOMC. I wonder how many accounts get blown. Wow. Prop firms make a lot of money. I saw Apex is getting sued for something. I saw some of their court documents on Twitter, and it was saying that they are a $1 billion company, which is insane to think about. That's a lot of resets. There's a lot of account resets at like $16 or what are they? I don't even know. Oh yeah, the 20x account multiplier is a big one. Imagine if they had it so you could just buy 20 at a time instead of doing it one at a time. Brazilians love to gamble. Yeah, that's one space I have no interest in entering, prop firms. No, thank you. Yeah, point is, take it seriously. Don't punt those accounts. Treat it like it's a real account, and you'll do much better. The worst thing is when you are taking a loss or you take a loss and you're in drawdown and then you start thinking, well, this account only cost me $50. I'm just going to try and full port it or something. At that point, it's game over. That account is done. That account is gone. So NQ, a little consolidation here, just beneath 900. Volume's quite low. So continuing with the low expectations. Former full porter, Jacob, yeah. I think like with the prop firms, the maximum contract allotment is like it's like a trap, definitely. Like a 50K account, some of these firms let you trade like 6 contracts. I mean, that's like one candle. If you have 6 NQ contracts on, that's like basically one candle. One 30-second candle. That account's gone. So you got to be in the micros. Typically, I suggest like 8 micros maximum on a 50K account. Good starting point. And in the recent volatility, probably a little less, probably more like 5 or 6, honestly. But ultimately, your sizing in a prop account is going to just be a should be pretty easy to figure out. You just got to look at what your hit rate is, and then what your typical loss is, and then you can kind of get a sense of how frequently do you have a series of 2 or 3 losses in a row. Like, what is the probability of that? You want to be able to survive that event pretty much. If you take 2 losses in a row, you take 3 losses in a row, and that's kind of normal for your system. That's something you want to be able to sit through and not have the account be popped. Otherwise, it's just going to be a recurring cycle. Well, there's not a ton happening here. Volume's tapering down. We've got our first couple of prints below minimum volume threshold of the session, which is 750 contracts per 1 minute bar. It's not a hard rule, for me, but it's a good signal. It's a good clue. Start to slow down. Think about doing less. Probably give it another 10 minutes here. Just call it a morning. Come back for FOMC. FOMC craziness. NQ pulling in a bit more. Into the shallow fib. Shallow fib right there for the intraday move. Just as a reference point. See if we get a little bit deeper pullback. Not interested personally in this shallow pullback if this ends up holding. That is not my play. Just about 1 hour into the sesh. One more minute for this 30-minute bar to close. It's looking like it's going to be a one and done morning based on this current action. One and done. 20 points. That's good though. Pre FOMC, we'll take some light green. This is a good day to be chilling in cash, doing less, focusing on less. NQ pulling in a bit more here. Tape is accelerating a little bit. Do we have some news? Let's see. Crude oil. All right. Dom, you grabbed the short. Nice. Nice hold, good patience. Good patience, man. Let price take you out. That's good. Good, good. Yeah, slow drift lower. Still here near that shallow fib. I'm gonna call it a morning. I'll be looking at if we get back into overnight high 50% fib or the 61% area, 775 level of interest. I'll be interested in watching price in that area. Otherwise, maybe something like this right here, a little retest of the 900 following a new high of day. But my main goal right now is to be doing less before FOMC, and we'll see if we get a setup post FOMC. That typical pre FOMC action. It's very drifty, low volume. Not a lot of strong opportunities typically come from that period. So I think we call it a morning right there. I got one trade on the morning, so I'll just lock it in. Keep it going in the think tank post FOMC. Hope you guys had a good morning, or at the very least, did not get chopped up or anything like that. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe for FOMC. Don't do anything crazy. Not worth the risk. Typically, just not worth the risk for a developing trader. Not worth it. Consider the downside before the upside. All right, folks. Have a great rest of your day.